I'm using my daughter's.
Yeah, who this?
Martha Ambrose.
Oh, okay. Hi. No problem. I
Did you get my message? Because I missed the whole class last week.
yeah, I saw the thing.
Finally today, we fixed it today. So.
Yeah, that's okay. Wait, Anita, please, no, it's not you. Okay, let me fix Anita real quick. And then did I spell it right? That's your how do you spell your name? There's a few people that are having trouble getting in the meeting. Try to help them real quick, and we'll start when we get there.
Mon, tráeme el permiso de trabajo mío ahí, por favor.
Me fui a practice this one with her phone as well.
Say that again.
Michelle Parker just dialed into her phone. So you'll see twice. You'll see twice.
Oh, okay. That's good. No? Can you access everything else or not?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good with everything.
Okay. Don't scare me like that. What's
Oh,
up?
sorry.
I got. Wait. You are good. I just saw you here. I saw your name, Parker, and you said like you entered today, like a five. No. Don't scare me like that.
Am I able to get the email change that they put down? Because I don't believe I have access to pay anything.
I'll have to send them an email, and I'll just kind of acknowledge it. Um,
Oh.
so you have your old work email, you said?
Yeah, but I never signed up with that email, so I don't understand why it's weird.
I'll check.
my number probably showed up. 8241.
What? Did you? I just sent you an email right now. Did you try doing something else? Typing it any other way?
I I talked to the IT. They told me I need to speak to someone at the school. I need to speak to the school IT person. They said it has to be something on my SSO, and that's not nothing that they set up, but that's what the school sets up.
But what's weird? Do you have access to the class?
Yes, I do have cameras, and that's how I went in. I went into the link that you sent
Right.
through Canvas, and it still wouldn't let me in, which is weird because I was in the first two classes.
That's what I'm saying. Like it makes no sense that it's not letting you in now. And you're using the same first name, dot, last name, 001 as your ID.
Yes, I never changed my ID. I never changed my password.
Okay.
I got an email earlier that my cameras was upgraded, but it just reported it's upgraded now. So hopefully this will be up by the end of the class.
Yes. Uh, no, I think I got kind of the same. I imagine I got the same email that you guys got, like almost back then. And I see. Uh, I see. I see a few people extra there that I don't know who they are, but I see most of you there. You know, and I'm like, okay, I still see Jackson not having access to the class. I'm not sure who is uh, Filipino, and then Jackson is supposed to have everything. So let's see. My email was assigned and still no wake-up. Yeah, that's what I kind of suppose. So I mean that's better than half of you not having the class. So we're still gonna excuse me, because there's a few others that are not here. We're gonna give them a chance. Let me see who else.
Mhm.
My contract over there already gone, but seems like it's gonna be a little bit easier um, having the individual, you know, fixing it for real uh, at the source. I already sent an email. Hopefully that will work. Let's see what else we have here. Vanessa. Vanessa? Do I know you, Vanessa? Do you hear podcast?
Para los seguros.
Hi, good evening. This is my first day. I was
Oh,
registered late.
go ahead.
Yes, I was registered late by Nicolette, but it's my
Yeah,
first class.
I imagine. I don't recognize the name. Good question. Do you have access to email, to Canva, to Zoom, to all the things, all the wonderful things that you need for the class?
Yes, I was able to register everything today.
Okay, no problem. Excellent.
Thank you.
No problem. So we are going to start, or let's say we're gonna continue with the people that were here last time. Um, we covered a few of the chapters that we were, you know, checking. We checked the CMS 1500 form. We checked the CMS gov, and now we're gonna go to chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the chapter that talks about legal in healthcare. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. When you can see it. For the people that are kind of new to the class, remember, or you can just know that we use the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask any question or answer any question that I answer, or just say anything that you desire to say. So, for example, I'm gonna ask, can you see my screen? I expect you guys to either put in the chat, yes, I can see it, or just unmute yourself and say yes. Use the little emoji things, whatever you like. Looks like some people say yes. Thank you. It's kind of we have to start. Okay, anybody else? We have one, two, three, five. Okay, three people answered. Six. Hmm. Who's that? We have someone extra. Who's new? Who just got here? Liz Perez. Hello. I haven't seen that name before. Where are you? Liz. Liz Perez. I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself. Say hi. First time here, I think. Right? Nothing. Chat. Nothing. We'll do it later. Okay, so let's go to the chapters. Chapter 5. This is the next one that we have on queue. This is the one that talks about the legal aspects of healthcare and reimbursement. So again, remember, at any time you can ask me questions, or anytime you can say something if you need to say something, or put it on the chat. So let's talk about triangle depicted in the top, the insurance company is going to be on one side, and the provider is going to be in the other one. Okay, so all of them have uh, legal obligations with each other. So, for example, the provider has a legal or a contract with the patient. So the patient is going to go to the doctor, with some problems, and the provider is going to uh, try to fix those problems, and the patient will pay. Okay, so this is the contract that we have. You, patient, go to the provider provides services, and you pay for those services. Okay, cool. The other side is the insurance and the patient. Well, what they have is a contract with each other. The patient pays the premium and the deductible and the co-payments and whatever they have to pay, and the insurance company is going to provide payments on behalf of that patient. Kind of simple. The last one is the provider has to be in contract with the insurance company, saying I will send you some claims from the patients, and the insurance company is gonna have a contract saying I will pay those claims. But you see, I use the word contract like 3 times, 3 different times, or 3 separate times. So we're saying that the whole health insurance and health system in our side in the reimbursement section is just contracts between patients, insurance, patients, provider, insurance, and provider. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, if you remember from our last chapter, we talked about what is covered entity under HIPAA law, and we said that any agency, any person, anyone that handles protected health information or medical records from the patient, they're going to be what we call uh, they're going to be under HIPAA law, and they're going to be called covered entities. So they're covered under HIPAA law. So that means that they need to keep that information protected, confidential, private, secured. So that means that if you are a doctor and you create a medical record, you have to keep it private and confidential. If you are a specialist receiving information from PCP, for example, you need to keep it private and confidential. If you are the insurance company receiving information on that patient, same thing. If you are the clearinghouse, the same thing. If you are the pharmacy, the same thing. Like, everyone has to have that. So what happens when you do not follow HIPAA guidelines, and when you break confidentiality and privacy for a patient, you are incurring on a violation of an act, and the act is a law. So you are basically breaking the law. But one of the interesting things that we have in our kind of system here is that we are going to figure out who breaks the law. We're gonna figure out what is the penalty for breaking the law, and we're gonna figure out who is to blame for that. So one of the easiest ways is going back to the source, checking who broke the law first. Let's say that. So were you supposed to have the information? Yes or no? Yes, you were supposed to have it. Okay, so you were supposed to have it. You didn't break the law. Okay, if you bought it because somebody sent it to you. If someone said, okay, I do not was supposed to have it, and I got it, then they're gonna ask why or how did you got it. And there's always this way of thinking, like, why are you having some information that you're not supposed to have? Someone gave it to you, you stole it, or you bought it. Those are kind of the options that we have. So either you bought it, that's super illegal. You stole it, that's super illegal. Or someone gave you that information, and that's also illegal. Now, just having the information, getting the information is illegal. So you have to be careful with those things. And and again, if you by accident stumble into a medical record, then that's not illegal. You just figure out where it goes and basically put it back. But you first, if you look for something on purpose that you're not supposed to, then it becomes a problem. I always tell the students, again, there was let's say now a big, I don't know, social media influencer goes to your hospital, goes to your doctor's office, and you have nothing to do with that. I don't know, nothing, absolutely nothing. But then you go and you, because you have access to the medical record, you go like, ah, let me see, you know, who this individual is, what do they have, and you start looking into their information. That is illegal. You cannot do that. Now you're not doing it for anything wrong. You just, you know, just checking how old they are, like whatever. You cannot do that. That's illegal. So one of the problems with this is that people don't understand again how important it is that we care for our patients and our patient information, because someone might be looking at those actions and saying, hey, you know what, this is wrong. You cannot do that. And again, violations can end up in, again, depends on on what are you using it for, or why are you getting that information. It can go from a fine, it can go from closing an office for a little bit until they do an investigation, or closing the office for the whole time, and whoever it is can go to jail and everything. So it's really important that you know that the first legal aspect of all of this is keeping things private, secure, confidential, and protected. So we're gonna talk about what are the laws that affect healthcare, affect reimbursement. There's always federal laws, and there's some that are specific to the states. We're gonna talk about how long and how do you have to keep the medical records, and then we're gonna talk about audits, compliance, and then HIPAA. And again, it's something that you need to memorize in every single exam for the past, well, 8 years since I've been seeing the exam. There's a question about HIPAA. What HIPAA stands for? So HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And each little word, and you know that I like to explain words, has a part of the definition. So let's talk about what each word is, and I mean we will, and then what each one means to you. Okay, when I say to you, is to you as part of this uh, uh, medical system. Okay. Yes. Are we here? Are we listening? Are we understanding? Do we get new people? Well, just start here. Let me see. Frank! We have one of the Franks. Hello, Frank. Where's the rest of the Franks? So this is Frank Jr., right? There we go. Okay, so let's continue. So I will explain this in more detail, but just super fast. The part that matters the most for our purposes is the last A, or the second to last A, accountability. Okay, health insurance portability. I'll explain, and you'll see that it's not really important. Accountability. That means that who's accountable for the things that aren't happening. Who is responsible? In other words, who get in trouble if things are done wrong. Okay. So number one, you should be knowledgeable of the laws and regulations. Not knowing the law does not is not an excuse. I didn't know that that was illegal. Okay, good. You're still gonna get in trouble. Think about it like this: if you run through a stop sign, and then the cop stops you, you're like, hey, I didn't know that not stopping was illegal. That doesn't matter. You're gonna get a ticket anyway. Okay, that's not a good argument. So just knowing, it's important. Patient records. Like, how do you process them? What do you do? If you're working at a doctor's office, you are the one that's gonna create those medical records. So because you create the medical records, you are the owner of the medical record. So a doctor's office that creates the medical record is gonna be the that it's not understood properly. You, when you have a patient, the patient goes to you, and because of the patient going to you have to create the medical record. Okay, cool. But who owns the medical record? The creator, whoever makes the medical record. So the patient, on which all the information that we're putting, it's on them. They do not own the medical record. They can have a copy of anything request one, but the owner of the medical record is the creator, the doctor's office, the insurance, whomever is doing that. Now, because of that, you have to keep it, private and confidential. So that's the main thing that you need to know. Now, many other things are gonna be there, like laws that go in effect for specific treatments, for specific reimbursement. And again, if you think about it, where are you gonna get all the information on the things that has to do with laws or regulations, or anything that has to do with healthcare? You go to CMS.gov. You go to Medicare. So Medicare is the one that puts that law, the regulation, those standards, and they are the ones that are gonna you have to follow. So Medicare is the main agency that has this. Now we need to talk. We're gonna talk about a little bit about law. So again, this is not a law class. It's not you're not gonna become lawyers, but we need to understand some again some words that will make sense when you're doing this thing. So we're gonna go over a few of them, and there you go. So let's talk a few of them. The ones that are going to affect. Many of them are things that are, for example, things that have to do with the state, things that have to do with the municipalities or cities, case law. Then again, it's based on case or cases. Precedent is really important. That's a funny word that you need to kind of know a little bit. Precedent is when something goes to court and the decision that was done before sets a precedent. So we are going to, whenever we are going to see a new case or something else, we are going to try, or the judge or the everyone should use the precedent as the rule to again rule on that case or that next case. So what does that mean? It means that we are going to look back to the first case and what was said and what was decided in that first case that was tried with whatever it was, and then we decide from there on more or less the same. That is to make it fair. That is to make it like the same thing all the time. Another thing that we are going to see is civil law and criminal law. So those two things are different. So the easiest way that I can explain is civil law has to do with money or damages, and criminal law will be what will be paid with jail time. So criminal law, jail time. Civil law, you have to pay. So can the same crime be tried in both? Yes. If you kill someone or someone kills someone, that is criminal. But then the damages that the family members of the individual that died could be seen in civil court. Anything that has to do with again money because of damages will go under civil law, and that's kind of where our anything that we do in medicine goes. Subpoenas is you ask for someone going to court or some documents going to court. So whenever you hear that, we're talking about documents or someone going to court. And then I know that's the thing that has to do with law. Then after that, we can go to the things from CMS, again CMS, and Medicare Administrative Contractors. You already mentioned the MACs or the administrative contractors um, in the transmission of the claim. So we go to Transmetal, again CMS, and the MACs are going to be part of Medicare or the Medicare system. So if you're going to send a claim to Medicare, we're going to do it through the CMS Transmetal. also we're gonna do it for Medicare and Medicare contractors that are going to be either the ones receiving the claim to make an adjudication on it or a decision on it, or they're gonna be uh, the in the middle of the provider and Medicare, and the ones that are going to be in the middle of the providers and Medicare are going to be the individuals that are going to check the claims. So again, it's a checkpoint in between the provider and uh, in, in the U.S. How do we do business uh, in uh, in the medical field? So you have to know that all the time new things are coming, and all those things are going to be posted and seen in CMS.gov. Now, okay, so Liz, I will talk to you kind of at the end. I imagine if you are in the Zoom, you can see it. So we'll go over those things a little bit. Um, Storage documentation and how long do you have to keep the files. So technically, it depends from state or changes from state to state. It is a federal mandate that you have to keep them, but each state will have a different one. Florida has a 3-year retention period. It's 3 years after the patient is inactive. So if the patient is active, you have to keep them. When the patient stop being active in your practice, then 3 years later. So what are the how a patient can become inactive? Well, active is that a patient goes to the office. Goes to the office, goes to the hospital all the time. Okay. When they are inactive, it could happen because they've been out of the office for more than 3 years, or they are deceased. Okay, the patient expired. So if the patient dies, at the moment that the patient dies, you inactivate that patient, and then you have to keep the medical records for 3 years. If the patient does not go to the office for 3 years and they are alive, they just don't want to go, then after 3 years, you have to wait 3 years more before you dispose of the medical records. The other option is that you send the patient to a different doctor, so you refer that patient completely out of the practice to another practice, and you're not willing to see that patient again for whatever reason. At the moment that you inactivate that patient, 3 years later you can dispose of the medical records. But in order to dispose the medical records, you have to do it in a HIPAA compliant manner. So you cannot put them just in the garbage. You have to shred them. You have to burn them. You have to do whatever method you use. Usually companies are gonna come and pick up the documents that you want to shred. They could do it as a service that you put in a big bin that is locked, and then they pick them up and destroy them, or they can just destroy them come in a big truck. those are going to be required to have a HIPAA compliance certificate of destruction. Again, for you to be compliant with it. So again, we want to have the medical records just in case anything happens, legal, medical, or financial for every patient that we are seeing. If the patients are not there anymore, then then you should not be keeping those files for longer than 3 years. So again, that is something super simple for you to understand. Florida has a 3 year mandate after the patient is inactive. Some other places have more time. I've seen 5 years for regular doctors and 10 years for specialists in other states. But here is roughly 3 years for everyone. And again, that's something that you need to know because if you are the coder and biller at the office, you are gonna be the most responsible for the medical records. So again, uh, you cannot lose the files, you cannot dispose of them and have a problem. Now, another thing that we have is compliance programs. What is a compliance program? So compliance means that we follow, that we are doing the things following the the rules and regulations of whatever we are doing. So for medical records, we have compliance issues that is again keeping confidential, secure, specific way of disposing them, stuff like that. But in order to bill for something, we have to actually guess or follow some rules. What happens that if you are just checking yourself and you're doing the same mistake over and over and over, you don't know that that's something wrong. We need a way of figuring that out. So for that we do audits. When we're doing the audits are usually parts of the compliance program. And again, if you're making a mistake and that mistake takes you to non-payment for a claim, then I would think that you want to figure out why the claim was not paid, and then that will help with payment. So it will expedite making payments faster, and it will optimize payments. And at the end of the day, what we care about the most is payment. But if the payment gets late or not optimized, partially paid, then we're losing money. So because of that, we need to make sure that everything is true, accurate. There's no filling mistakes. There's no coding mistakes. There's no revenue compromising mistakes. Again, if you lose money or if you don't get the money, you don't get the revenue. If your operation cost is more than your revenue, you're losing money. So again, that's it becomes a big problem. So I went past this first one, and this is the one that we're gonna do now. We're gonna talk about fraud, and when we talk about fraud, there's no way I can talk about fraud without talking about abuse. Fraud and abuse are two different things. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are illegal. Both of them are punishable by law. But one is kind of worse than the other one. Okay? So let's find a way to write it. Okay, let's do it. So fraud. Fraud is to lie. Okay? In order to take advantage, I lie. For example, fraud is to lie in a paper saying that something was done when that thing was not done. So if I go, let me see, let's get our names. I have Parker. I can see Parker, my first one. Parker. Okay. So Parker decides to go to the office and check the files, right? And she finds a document that says that a patient got a wheelchair. Okay? And the insurance company paid for it. Excellent. That sounds absolutely perfect. Because it's in the document, it means that it happened. Okay? But patient was never given a wheelchair. But Parker is a bidder. Parker doesn't know. Parker went, look at the paper, says that they give a wheelchair. Okay, let me send the bill for the wheelchair. Payment came in, boom. But that wheelchair was never given to the patient. So the paper lied. So at that point, that is fraud. But again, the paper didn't lie. Someone wrote the paper. Someone lied on the paper, on the document. So Parker's job now is to figure out who did that. Figure out if it was a mistake and just didn't happen, or it was completely on purpose. So if it's on purpose, that is fraud, that is a lie, that is illegal. And if Parker does not say anything about it, now it's hurtful. Not hurtful, but she's kind of an accomplice to it. So it will be, she knows about it, she'll get in trouble. Okay? If we tell that a patient received a service and that service was not given to the patient, that is a lie. And if we submit a bill and get paid that bill that didn't happen for a service that didn't happen, then that is fraud, that is lying, and that is completely illegal. Now we have a problem. What if we add things to make it more, we embellish the thing, okay? So if we give more things, or things that are not medical necessary, for example, to get more money, well, we call that abuse. Why abuse? Because abuse has to do with doing things more than what we're supposed to, just to get more money. So think about it. Abuse, we are doing things to get more money by just doing more things that are not necessary. That is on purpose. That is illegal. Fraud is just lying about it. We're saying that things were done, but they didn't. The problem with that is that whenever you put a wrong date, for example, today's date, using today's date, 525, if I say that a patient was here in 525 and the patient was here 524, so which one is it? Why did I put 2520? 524 was the day that the patient was here. And we wrote 525. So this date, the patient was not there. So we are stating that the patient was here a date that they were not here. That's a lie. So the difference between a lie and a mistake, it is really like it's super close. So if you can prove, hey, this is a mistake, that's okay. But if I can find a bunch of them and I can see that you did it on purpose, then it could be a problem. So if I tell a patient to come every week for a checkup, they don't need a checkup every week, but we bring them every week, and then we charge the insurance company 4 visits per month. That is abuse. What if we saw the patient, we brought the patient to the office, saw him or her, and we do it. But if we say that we did and we didn't, that's fraud. That is a little bit different. That is even worse than the first one. Both of them, you need to make sure that if you know about it, you have to report it. If you do not report it, you are gonna be in big trouble. So because of that, we have the medical necessity aspect of this, and we have people that are gonna look into it. The people that are gonna look into it are gonna be part of the medical integrity program. These are medical reviewers, or the people that do the medical review, and it's a program that's gonna check the claims and the services to see if they were medically necessary and reasonable. So reasonable means that they are what everyone does in the same situation, and necessary because we have the documentation to prove that they were necessary. something that was not necessary, you should not. And if it's paid, Medicare has the ability to take your money back. So they, whatever money they give you can, uh, it says here, impose corrective action. And the corrective action is to, in the same bank account that they deposited the money for the claim, put their hand in and take the money back. Okay? Yes, no, understanding, maybe. Okay, thank you, thank you. Wait, do we have more people here? What is this? How many do we have? 17. 17. We have 17 people here? I'm missing something. Who do I not have in my list? Oh, we have Frank Senior too. I haven't seen Frank Senior. Okay. Again, if anyone has any problem, anything, any question, let me know. So here we have this max again. Medicare and Medicaid contractors. They are going to be the ones that receive the claims. You check them. They're going to be the ones that are going to appeal that first level of appeal, but also they are going to be the ones that are going to do the audits. And this is something that you guys can do when you finish this program. You can go and work as a medical reviewer for a Medicare and Medicaid contractor. And again, pays pretty good, but you'll be like swarmed just working a lot. It's a lot. So what happened? Well, the program that was again, it was an act. It was a law by the legislature. It's not like a criminal law. It's a legislature law, or we call it act. In 2005, said, you know what? We're wasting too much money. There's too much money that's being wasted, and people are, you know, uh, basically stealing from Medicare patients because of all those, all these things, fraud, abuse, overpayments. So one of the things that they tried to do is they tried to do audits in order to check for overpayment. And overpayment is the easiest way. We're gonna go back to the same number that we always talk about. You should know it by now already. It's a CPT that you might say is my favorite CPT code of all time. 99 to what was the date? No, no, no. And 99 to 04. Okay, so there are two different ones. One around $300, the other one around $400. Just to keep it simple, right? So if we submit the information and we submit a 99204, okay, that's the one that we want because it pays a little bit more, right? And then the that the money is being used properly. So waste, abuse, and fraud. Waste and abuse is kind of the same. It's one side is Medicare is wasting, and the abuse is comes from is collecting the money, and then fraud, like you said, is lying. So if you lie, committing fraud. If you are um, getting overpaid, then that is usually abuse. So we have different regions, and there's a fun fact here of the the, the regions for why this area. So other than Hawaii, we are one of the smallest ones, and most of the fraud comes from that area. Yes. Again, so the people that are getting in for the first time today, there's a bunch of things that we need to figure out with email, Canvas, class. So, you know, for this part of the class, pay attention to what we're saying, and then at the end stay so we can actually, number one, do proper introductions, and number two, fix, if we can, most of your accounts. Thank you. So again, like I was saying, look, this is not as big as the Texas area and as the California area, and we are the one where most of the fraud and abuse happen. Whenever you hear news, millions of dollars were stolen, in fraud and abuse from Medicare, you could guess 9 out of 10 times you're gonna be ignored. So that's not something that we should be proud of. It should be something that we should be aware of because you could be part of a company that is overseeing that. You could be part of the people auditing, or you could be just a regular guy or girl that is working at a doctor's office where they're committing fraud. And if you see that, report it and run away before you get caught in whatever illegal things other people are doing. Now, because of that, again, in order to make it stronger, um, then not only audits and regions, we need to make a task force or a team for this. So again, for whatever reason, the people in government like to use acronyms for things. So it's called the HEAT, or the Health, Care, Fraud, and Prevention. All of that is the first H. Enforcement Action Team. So again, what is interesting about this is what is good to have some rules and regulations and laws if you don't have anyone to enforce them. For example, if you and let me see who wants to talk. I want to hear someone's voice real quick. Who's willing to have a little conversation with you real quick? Let's see. I'm gonna call you by name if I don't have any.
I'm ready to have conversation.
There you
It's
go. There
Vanessa.
you go. Okay, Vanessa. So let's try this. Vanessa, I have a question for you. Why do you stop at the stop sign?
You stop at the stop sign to make sure you can secure the way before, to make sure the road is clear before you go, so that way you don't get to a
Lies.
crash.
Lies. The lies are coming out of Vanessa's mouth. Oh
How?
my. Do you know why you do it? You do it. You stop at the stop sign like everybody else. Because if you don't, what happens? You get a ticket. You think about the ticket first. You think about the cop in the other corner looking for you before you think about this is the right thing to do. I need to stop, to see and look both ways. Do I need to stop so I don't get into a crash? The first thing that you think, if you run to the stop sign, is not, oh my god, I could get into a car accident. You look back to see if there's a cop in the corner. That's what we all do, right? So,
No, no. I think I
I'm
care
joking.
for my, I care for my safety too.
We're joking here. We're joking here. But most like what our instinct as human beings is not. This is the right thing to do. Let's do it. No, you're going. Oh, maybe I got away with it. Or but you don't think in the moment. You think like so. In order for you to think about not running the stop sign, what do we have? We have someone who enforce that rule and give you some punishment if you don't do it. So what is the punishment? A ticket. Yeah? So you go, oh my god, I'm late, boom, run to the stop sign, then the cop is behind you, flashing lights, and you're like, I got more people talking, well, yeah. Good.
Oh, I apologize. It's Vanessa. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we're still thinking that the rules are just uh, they rule is useless. So if I say please, pretty please, people that are gonna handle millions and millions of money of dollars, yeah, don't try even to keep some for you. Like you're not supposed to. Like don't put the your hand in the cookie jar. That's not. So when you think about it, it makes sense that we need, in this case, kind of a task force or an action team to look for the people that are committing fraud and abuse, look for the people that are running the stop sign. So what's interesting is that who has to do that? Well, because again, and we're gonna mention two agencies here. The Department of Health and Human Services, HHS or DHHS, is the one that has to do with Medicare, healthcare, the Department of Health, all those things, right? So this is the people that say this is what we need. Okay, these are the rules. But then we need someone like the DOJ, Department of Justice, that are going to now say, you know what? Okay, these are the rules, and the DOJ will be the cops. If you get caught doing something, what is going to happen? Okay? And whatever is going to happen is that we're going to have prosecution, we're going to put you in jail, we're going to put, we're going to have investigators, we're going to have a big, task force to prevent this. And if you get caught, then we're going to show you the punishment in order to make those laws work. Again, same thing. Boundaries. You tell your kid, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and nothing happens to them. If they don't do it, they don't get time out. They don't get things taken away from them. They will continue doing what you tell them not to do. Again, it's just human nature. So in this case, it's a little bit more involved because it requires technology, it being tech savvy, and a bunch of other things that it's not worth it. Uh, People and agencies can get fines like up to a couple of millions of dollars. People can go to jail for a long time, and if it's proven that you're a part of it, then you wind down with them. So again, the DOJ is going to start putting investigators, agents, prosecutors, like, and and make sure that those policies and those things that we are putting in play are going to be uh, followed. So now we said, okay, so we're gonna make sure that we fix the fraud and the abuse, and that way we do not, are losing money by things that are illegal. But what about trying to save a little bit of money by, only giving the patients what they need and nothing else? So again, it's kind of like saying, okay, the same example that I said last time. If a patient breaks a leg, they might need a wheelchair. They might need crutches, or they might need a little scooter to run around. All depends on the patient. If the patient is a 90-year-old individual, then maybe a little scooter so they can move around. If the patient is a 16-year-old basketball player, crutches will be fine. If it's whatever 70-year-old patient, then maybe, or a 50-year-old, then maybe a wheelchair will be okay. So all of that has to be checked. All of that has to be, because imagine if someone breaks or sprains an ankle and we're giving them wheelchairs and scooters. We're talking about a lot of money that we're giving to a lot of people that are going to have those. So the insurance company and basically Medicare is the one that's looking into it. Says, you know what? No. We are going to make sure that we're going to give things that are necessary also. And if there's a better option and it's cheaper, we're going to do that too. Okay? Not because we're going to be cheap, it's because the more money we save, the more money can be put to patient care. And think about it like this: patient care, or time uh, with the doctor, time with the patients, will be better for the patient. So the more time we can spend with the patient, the better the outcome is going to be. And again, we just say less money wasted. Okay. So again, one of the other things that we said, it says, so let's have like a chair taking program, and again, information with the patient. Um, and one of the things it wanted is to involve the patient and our caregivers to make it into a more global experience, just to make the quality of the system better. So because of that, we need to coordinate services. We need to, for example, on coordination of benefits, whenever we have multiple insurances, we mentioned that already last class. One insurance covers something, the other insurance covers something else, and that's perfect. If you have both insurances covering the same things, then one insurance might say no to something, the other one might say yes, and then it's better if we separate the things, we separate the insurances, we see who pays first, who pays second, who's gonna pay what, and that makes it a lot better. So the problem with that is that those are kind of new things, so it needs that we redesign the processes. And again, you guys are gonna be part of that in two ways: receiving those new redesign processes or just designing them. It depends on where you decide to go. So we looked into every single thing, and we went into the coding world. So we have a national correct coding initiative. So this is again an initiative, a program set by again Medicare, Health and Human Services, federal government, saying, okay, now we're gonna get specific. We are going to make sure that the codes that we are putting match, the codes that we are assigning to each thing work. That what we are coding for is what we are paying for. So anything that deviates from that will not be paid. So now I'm not sure if you guys know my experience, but one of the most common causes for denial for payment is codes that are wrong. And I keep saying the same thing. If you have a code that is age sensitive, for example, a newborn getting a checkup, and that newborn, and then you put the code for the newborn checkup, and then you put the other code is for a 5-year-old, then those two things don't match, so they are inappropriate. They do not match. They're gonna be denied. If you submit something that is gender specific, prostate exam, well, only males can have prostate, so they can only have prostate exam, no females. So if you put that the patient is a female, but you put a code for a female and then you put a code for a male uh, only procedure, then it's not gonna get paid. If the code is for a visit to the urologist for a male, and then you put pregnancy test as the procedure, again, they don't match, it's gonna be denied. And there's nothing you can say that. Like, it's just wrong, completely wrong. So again, we started creating these things. Software is going to help. Kind of software is going to be developed to get this thing out of the coder's hands. Just make sure that only this code matches with this code. So it will not let you continue until you get it right. And still, we have some other things that are going to be creating scrubbers and clearing houses that are going to do that a second or a third time in order to get it right. So what it's doing is, like, everyone in the US is going to use better methodologies to code. And again, it helps and it makes you know better coding practices. So it eliminates the improper coding practices. We again we go back to the specific code. We go to the 99003. Or for example, let's use 99001. That code you cannot use. Okay, that code is not billable. So if you're using it all the time and it's getting denied, then you can, go with the initiatives and put it in the software that you cannot even input that one, that you cannot select it. And then again, that helps the builder, the coder, revenue, everyone. Now, here's where we are going to go in depth of what is HIPAA. I'm gonna do it first, like in a global kind of thing. So let's talk about health insurance. So that was patients and the company that is going to say that we're going to pay you premium and whatever all your first responsibilities are, and the insurance company is going to pay for your benefits. Excellent. So the next word says portability. So portability comes from keeping your insurance. So a long time ago, people used to take get a job, a really good one that paid their insurance, and they will keep that job for many years. And then for whatever reason, they didn't change jobs as much as we do now. So if you had a good job with a good insurance, as soon as you change jobs, if you quit or you got fired or whatever it was, you will lose your insurance. Okay, so when HIPAA started in 1996, that they wrote the act, they said, hey, if you lose your job or if you quit your job or whatever it is, you are entitled to keep the same insurance company and the same program that you have if you pay for it. So let's say your employer was the one paying for the insurance and they paid, I don't know, $100 a month. Then you lose your job or you change job for another job and you wanted to keep your insurance and your doctors and your hospitals and your whatever, you couldn't. HIPAA made it that you could, but of course you have to pay for it. It doesn't say that your old employer has to pay for it. Oh no, no, your employer was paying for it. Now you're going to somewhere else and you want to pay for it. That's okay, you can keep it at the same rate, at the same thing. So it was a really good thing for patients. Okay, and so it was opening the door for people keeping their insurance, keeping their doctors, keeping all the things, even if they change jobs. Now it sounds silly because people change jobs, every other month, and you don't see that big deal of getting a full time job and with health benefits included. And if you go, then you go, and the next one will have the same thing. Again, that is kind of important, but not really for what we're saying now. The next thing says accountability. And accountability, we said that was the part of making sure that the information of the patient is moved through the channels in a secure, private, and confidential way. And like we just said before, we need to make sure that all those things are going to be made, uh, you know, in accordance to HIPAA. So for that, HIPAA has again, and the last one, like I said, Act is for uh, a law from legislation. So that's how we got into it. It has the titles. Okay, so Title One is the one that is dealing with portability. So again, it's for keeping healthcare, renewing it if you lose your job. Again, we don't care about that much. Um, the rest, I'm gonna jump to tax-related health provisions, group health plans, requirements, and revenue offsets in Title Five. We're not gonna talk about them that much. We're not gonna talk about Title One, at least for this class, for this portion of the class. The one that is really important for us is Title Two. Title Two has three sections. The first one, the one that talks about preventing fraud and abuse, again, putting all the things that we said before in place in order to fix everything. And then the medical liability form, again, who's responsible for all the things that happens. Okay? Perfect. Then we're gonna ignore those two now, and we're gonna go to the one that says uh, administrative simplification. And administrative simplification is going to be divided into three sections, or let's put it one section and 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 the technology section. So one section is privacy, and privacy means that the information has to be private and confidential, and that's the rule. The security is the one that's going to make sure that that information keeps private and secure. Okay, so we have two different ones. One that says it has to be secure, and the other one that is going to enforce that it's being secure. So now the last one that we have is the electronic data interchange, is where we're going to send the information, how we're going to send it. And in order to make it simpler, they are going to do a set of codes for uh, many of the things that we're going to use. Again, we're going to use a specific file. It's a flat file for the UBO4 form. We have the CMS 1500 form. We have the UBO4 form. We're going to have the ICD. We're going to have the CPT. We're going to have the HICFIX. All of those are set of codes that we're going to use in order to send information to, and then you go back to keep it private and secure, okay? And make it a little bit simpler, meaning that everyone's going to use the same thing. Then we're going to talk about the transactions, how we're going to use them, claims, payment, referrals, and the last one, some identifiers for, again, to put a set of codes into the players that we have. So it could be a health plan identifier, it could be a national provider identifier, it could be the employer identifier number. So all of those things are a way of making names and agencies and things into numbers. So a good way of thinking about it is like your social security number. If you have a social security number, that number is a code for your name. So if I put your name and put your social security number, then I can find you or your information in any of those ways. But we're not gonna use social security numbers for the doctors. We're not gonna use social security numbers for the company. What we're gonna use is a tax ID number or employer identification number. And for doctors, we're gonna use the national provider identification numbers. For the plan, that is a company, because they're not in that regard, they're not dealing with the taxes. We have a health plan identification number or identifier. And again, everything turns into numbers. So if we were to send a claim, the claim will say something like this: provider, so the NPI of the provider. Again, can be so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 up to 10. The health number, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, until whatever. The patient's number is gonna be something up. The patient ID number is gonna be something else. 1, 2, 3, whatever. And we keep going. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the other one, what we have is a string of numbers or codes that, if you look at them, they mean nothing. But if you put it in the right software and you put it and you decode them, then that CPT means what was done. That ICD was why we did it. The patient, that number means the patient, and we can go with the number and the information on the patient, and the doctor, and the date, and all those things turn into numbers. Now, we know that sounds complicated. If everyone in the US is doing the same thing, then it's simpler than decoding everybody else's way of doing it. So the administrative simplification part that is here in the middle is the one that gives you, the transaction, the codes, the forms, and the identifiers to make things easier. The way we're gonna send it was through the internet, through electronics, and then because that is electronic and that is information that we're sending, we need to make sure that it's private. So because of that, we have a second section that is security. So this sounds like a really super convoluted plan, but it makes sense if you think about it. And more important, who is responsible or accountable if any of those things are not working? Well, the insurance, the provider, the government, everyone. So everyone that deals with this is going to be accountable for keeping those things secure, private, protected, confidential, and that we're using those code sets, those forms. To give you an example, if you send a paper that says, hey, Medicare, you owe me $300 because I saw a patient, I don't care how real that was, if you didn't use the correct form, you're not following the rules of the administrative information on HIPAA, then they're not gonna get paid. You can send a video of you performing the surgery, and a paper say, hey, you owe me $10,000 for the surgery, even though the surgery happened. You have video evidence, you have documentation of it. You did not put it in the correct form, use the correct codes, you're not gonna get paid. So now that forces everyone to use the same thing, to use the same set of codes, to use the same forms. And when you do that, hopefully everything is simple. So let's talk a little bit about the titles now. So title one, again, like I said, not really something that we think about that much now, but back 30 years it was a big thing. So it was the portability and renewability. So portability means an access. So access, portability, and renewability. So limits the exclusion from pre-existing conditions. So if you had many conditions, the insurance plans will go crazy, will go up like extremely high. So what they did, what the government did with this HIPAA law was to limit the exclusions. So they had to cover people that were getting multiple pre-existing conditions. So as you grow older, then you're gonna use more of your insurance plans, but you're gonna have more visits to the hospital and to the doctors. Then if it's more expensive for you, but then you can't do it. But if it's paid by the government, then it's gonna be more expensive for the government. So why is it that we're putting some exclusions on this thing? So that was one of the things. Credit for prior health coverage. So again, if you had health coverage before, then your insurance should be a little bit cheaper because it means that you're taking care of your health. So before it was kind of like the opposite. If you had it and you lost it, and don't hire for a while. When you go back to them, they will say, no, you didn't have insurance. I don't know what we were doing during this time. It would be more. Converts prior coverage to a new group program. So let's say you have the insurance or coverage, you wanted to change it. It could happen before it couldn't. Discrimination for any type. Basically, the discrimination will go into again people that had pre-existing conditions, and you will say no. Like, oh no, you have too many conditions, or you have diabetic, you are diabetic, hypertensive, and a few other things. We're not going to insure you. So again, that's kind of a good thing for business. Uh, Insurance coverage for small employers. Again, it opened the door for small employers to get discounts, so they can get discounted insurance for small providers. Usually, before it was a really big employers that could afford that, or it was the lower number of employees that you have to have. It was too big for most of the employers that we have. And then we move coverage for small, large group markets, and then state role in regulating health insurance. So none of all those things were there before, but this is making it better for the patients. So it was a way to control the, the monopoly that the insurance companies were having, and the way that they were acting was purely business. So this gave a lot of power to the patients. But again, other than keeping the access and renewing and doing things like that, it's not what we are really talking about, because again, this is a billing class. So the Title II is the one that's the one. Number one thing that we do in Title II is prevent healthcare fraud and abuse, and we mentioned already those students. But let's talk about them again, just in case. Fraud, okay? Fraud, I say in one word, in two words, is to lie. So if you're lying about something, if you're telling me that something happened and it didn't happen, then you're lying about it, and and you're getting paid for it. So I want you to understand something here. It says intentional. So that means that you are doing it on purpose. You know what you're doing. And in this section, again, to lie or misrepresentation, also to lie. And result on payment. So fraud is not just submit a claim that didn't happen. If you submit a claim that didn't happen and they don't get paid, then nothing happened. Or if you get paid for something that didn't happen, for something that you didn't do, then that is considered fraud. Now, the important word here is intentional. You know exactly what you're doing. You're lying on purpose to get money. Okay? Now, you're like, okay, what about fraud? And what about abuse? Well, abuse could be could be unintentional. You might not know that it's abuse. Okay? But they are gonna be inconsistent with accepted medical practices. So you are giving things extra. You're telling the patient to come back and back and back for things that they don't need. You're giving them that extra effort. You're doing more things that they don't need, that they're not required. But you know that if you do them, you're gonna get paid. So that is abuse in the system. So abuse is to take advantage of the system, and it could be intentional or it could be not intentional. Because you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just, the patient is coming here and I'm doing a checkup and I've done 3 checkups already. Well, I'm gonna do another one. It's gonna get paid. That is not necessary for that patient. So that is abuse. Okay, so take advantage of the system. To take advantage of Medicare, that is abuse. To lie to Medicare, it's fraud. Now we can take Medicare, we can say anything else. Yeah, we can say insurance company, we can say to whomever. But usually it's Medicare. So fraud is to lie to Medicare. Abuse is to take advantage of Medicare. Both of them for payment. Both of them could be intentional. Abuse might not be intentional. You might think that you're doing something that is right. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are illegal. Both of them can get you fired, fined, or put in jail. Are we clear with this? I want the chat to go crazy, or some of you, so yes. So let me tell you a little bit more. If you commit fraud, then those things can happen to you. The getting fined, go to jail, get fired, whatever. If your employer commits fraud and you do not report it, then you're responsible too. But also, if you commit fraud or make any of these things wrong, you and your employer are going to be responsible. So not only you, your employer is going to be responsible. So you can bring down a doctor's office if you're doing things illegally, or a hospital. You have to be careful with that. Last time I checked, up to $2 million, $2.5 million. Per violation, depending on what type of violation it is, and what you are doing. So this is on top of all the other things that are going to happen. So a few examples here, and I like the examples. I'm pleased with them. Accepting more money, rebates, kickbacks, bribes, anything. More money. Accepting anything that is not the payment. That's more. That's illegal. Changing claims to increase reimbursement, to increase payment. You're changing the claim, altering the claim to say something that is false to get more money. That is lying. That is fraud. Billing for services or supplies that were not provided, that were not given. You're lying about it. Yes, I gave Michelle a wheelchair. I gave Michelle a checkup. Michelle was never here, and I never sent her a wheelchair. Okay. And we get paid for that. That makes sense? So all of that, lying, doing things that are on purpose and they're wrong. Abuse, well, non-covered services, things that are not covered, we're billing them as covered services. So that is not following the rules. That's kind of taking advantage of a typo or just bending the rules a little bit. Billing or claim processing errors. Okay, if you do it wrong and wrong and wrong, and you send it over and over, that could be considered abuse. Okay, because you are trying to get an advantage. And then duplicating charges on a claim. Uh, Again, because if you duplicate it, then you will get paid twice. That doesn't mean that you didn't do it. It means that you can't. So it happened, but you're doing it wrong. So that is abuse. So you're not lying about if it happened or not. You just, trying to take advantage of a situation that is abuse. In your certification exam, NHA exam, that you're gonna take at the end of this program, you will be asked a few questions. I want to say at least more than one, at least two questions about fraud and or abuse. And it could be a single definition. It could be something like fraud is A, B, C, and D options, and you go billing uncovered services, billing claim processing error, duplicate charges, or billing for services that were not provided. Question was fraud, so it's the last one, billing for services that were not provided. Or it could be a little story. It could be Michelle was working at a doctor's office and this happened. And then you have to take that information and say, okay, are they lying about it or are they taking advantage? If they're lying, it's fraud. If they're taking advantage, abuse. Simple? Yes, maybe. Are you getting this? Yes, yes, no, no, maybe. Yes, yes, there you go. Now let's move to the second part of Title II, Administrative Simplification. Administrative simplification means that we are going to provide standards for the interchange of electronic data or electronic data interchange, so EDI, for administrative and financial transactions. So what we're going to say is that we're not going to have Frank send me an email. We're not going to have Michelle send me a letter, and we're going to have Vanessa send me a fax. No, everyone has to do it the same way. We have to have one standard, and everyone is going to follow that one. For anything that has to do with administration, or anything that has to do with financial. Okay? So to get me the claim, that's administrative, and then to give you the payment, that's financial. So we're not going to send Frank Jr. A check, and then Frank Sr. a deposit in the bank. We're going to make sure that all those things are standardized. And again, think about this. This was 1996. Computers and things like that were just kind of starting. So we're saying we need to make sure that this is working, that this is safe and secure. So again, they didn't know what this internet computer thing was going to be, so they were putting things in place for that. Then we said we need to protect the security and confidentiality of electronic health records or electronic medical records. And in order to do that, then we have to put rules, but then we have to establish financial penalties for violations and or criminal penalties for violations. And then the last thing we said, we need to also bring codes, not only for the procedures, not only for the situations happening to the patient, like and I want to say not diagnosis, because some are not diagnosis, but diagnosis and procedures. We're gonna do it for the doctors. We're gonna do it for the insurance companies. We're gonna convert everything into a code. So again, if everyone uses that set of codes, then it's simpler than everybody doing something different. Okay. And again, it's super interesting how that was kind of a big scare, so a big thing back in 1996, where they were going crazy thinking that all your information was going to be out in the internet and people could get it. Little did they know that at the end, people will just put everything that they're doing online. anyways. So, but it was a scare. It's kind of maybe the same situation if I have to compare it to what some people are thinking about, AI and stuff like that. We really don't know what it is, what it's going to be. So some people are getting scared. Some people are saying this is the best thing ever. Government, in order to, where money and health is involved, they need to start putting things in place in order to keep everything, uh, again, protected, confidential, um, and secure. So a little bit later, we said, okay, so what are we gonna do? How are we going to actually do this? How are we gonna? Everyone is going to talk the same language. How are we gonna use the same language for things? So they decided, listen, everything that is gonna be a transaction electronically has to have standard. We're gonna use Everyone's gonna use the same language. We are going to make sure that the computer here and the computer in California gets the information the same way, sends the information the same way, and everything or everyone uses the same thing. So because of that, well, we had the electronic transaction standards, then the electronic data interchange. Again, that's the process. And we say, you know what? These are the formats that we're gonna use. And again, there's a few of the ones here. Uh, we have the UBO4 files, and here you're gonna see the 837P and 837I and E, the different formats of electronic formats used to do the same thing. Okay, so the CMF 1500 form and the UBO4 form that are basically their paper formats. We have the 837I and P that are their same equivalent, but in computer or electronic. So again, we're gonna go over this in one of the upcoming chapters, but just know that everyone is gonna use this. If you try to use anything else, simple, no payments. Okay. So for the information that we are going to send, uh, it depends on what information it is. It's the set of codes that we're going to use. The ones that we are going to use, CPT, okay? Oh, my bad. Let me do this. CPT, there you go. Current procedure terminology that has to do with the American Medical Association is procedures, okay? Um, the CDT is for dental procedures, so current dental terminology. HICPICs are gonna be also things that are provided, but here CPT we provide services, and HICPICs we provide things. Again, I mention always vaccinations, wheelchairs, an ambulance ride, anything that is not done or is not a procedure done by the doctor, by the surgeon, anesthesiologist is gonna be falling here. And then we're gonna do ICD, ICD 10, ICD 10, ICD 10 TM, PCS. To keep it super simple as of right now, we're gonna go into the specifics of each one later, but the ICD stands for International Classification of Disease. This is a 10th revision, and it has a CM. It's called clinical modifications. And the easiest way to remember this is the International Classification of Disease 10 is used internationally. The CM is the one that we use in the US, right? And the PCS. Anything that has something extra after the 10 is what we use in the US. We are the only, not the only, online. We are one of the only, or the few countries that uses ICD for reimbursement. So we combine the procedures with the diagnosis in order to get payment. So I think it's a good module because we're saying like we need to answer, and this is, I don't know if I said it last time, but I'm gonna do it now. So uh, the CPT and the HICPICs, okay, is what, okay, what happened to the patient? What are we gonna do? given to the patient, and then the ICD is the why. Okay, why are we doing that? Oh, what we did open heart surgery. Why? Because the patient had a heart attack. The heart attack is a diagnosis. The open heart surgery is a procedure. So procedure, what? The patient had a broken leg. Okay, that is why. It's broken leg diagnosis. We did an X-ray. What we did? An X-ray procedure. Why? Because the patient had a broken leg or a fall or whatever. So if you understand those two things, we are 50% there. Now you need to understand what the codes are and how we get. So now the other thing is let's talk about what is going to happen if you violate rules. So it's not only the rule. Now we have to put some punishment. So the HIPAA protects the individual's medical records and all health information. Some violations penalty might have $100 per person, civil violation. So not more than $25,000 per repeated violation. So think about it. That's $25,000 per patient. Think about how many patients you have in a doctor's office. Holy crap, that's a lot of money immediately. But that's a minimum. More serious criminal violations, and again, this is civil violation. That means that someone is gonna say, "You, my information was leaked, and I feel distressed because of it. I want some money back from you guys." Excellent. Criminal means that you, on purpose, did it and gain money from it. So you stole the information and you sold it. That's the thing. So again, it could go. It starts at $50,000. It could get to the millions, and it could get to 1 year of prison. So jail time for not only disclosing it, okay, obtaining it. So if now, again, I don't know who is, I don't know, I'm not into a bunch of things. Let's say, okay, let's say basketball. So now you are, the Miami Heat are playing tonight. Hopefully they'll win, go to the finals. So Jimmy Butler, the best player that they have, goes and walks into your office. When they walk into your office and Jimmy Butler has a bum knee. I don't know. He's playing basketball and he has a problem with his knee. And you see that he's there, and you work his file, and you have his X-rays and his information. And then you called, I don't know who you would call, but you called like TMC or someone, and you sell them that information. Okay, so you stole the information, and then you sold the information, so that is criminal. Okay, you can go to jail for that, and like really bad things can happen. So it's not only taking the information, it's getting the information also. So either or, you could be in big trouble. So again, what part of the medical record is protected? All of it. Your name or the patient's name, protected. Patient's social security number, protected. Their height and weight, protected. Their pap smear results, protected. Their HIV test, protected. A picture of their leg with some rash on it, protected. Um, anything that has to do with that patient is protected. So the whole thing has to be protected, and it's protected by the creator. In this case, the creator is going to be the doctor or the facility where the patient is being seen. So the owner of that medical record is that facility. It's the doctor. It's not the patient. So because of that, we need to make sure that the everything is protected, right? It's private, confidential. But now we have to make sure that it's secure. In order to make it secure, we need to uh, make sure that all that information that is collected, maintained, used, or transmitted is protected electronically. How do we do that? Well, we could do it through many security measures. One of the measures is have a computer be encrypted, or the messages being encrypted, or the information they send is encrypted. How encryption works is that they they kind of scramble the information, and there's a key to unscramble that information, and they send you they send information to the internet, and if someone gets it, along the way, and they're not supposed to get it, they don't have the key. They cannot open the encryption, so they cannot access the information. So that's basically a good way of getting it or transferring through the internet. In the other side, you get it, you have the key or the encryption key, you basically open the file with your encryption key, and it will show the information in the correct way. So that's one. Firewall, so people that cannot get into different sites or sites from the outside get in. Having a computer that has a login credentials for every employee. Many different things how we keep things secure and simple things. For example, if you watch an old movie, you might see people going into a hospital, and the front of the hospital, at the door, you will see either their name and last name, or you will see their patient's chart, or you see the patient's chart in the feet of the bed. So we don't have that anymore. That is HIPAA violation. In order to keep that information secure, we don't have that. That's again violations of HIPAA, protecting the identity and the security of the patient and the patient's information. But what if the patient, or what if the information has to be given to somebody else? So here's where it gets interesting. In order for someone to get information on a patient, we need to have a request of information, a request of medical records. That request of medical records is going to be processed, and what is going to come after that will be a release of information. So there's a request of information, and if it's granted, you're going to have a release of information. The release of information requires the patient or whomever is in charge of the patient, a proxy, next of kin, anyone that has a power of attorney, whomever. It could be a minor, so it's going to be the mom and dad. The patient could not be completely conscious, or it could be next of kin, not mentally competent, somebody else that is taking care of them, whomever. And they are going to authorize the release of information by signing a document. The important part is that the document has to say who is requesting, what they are requesting, the purpose of the request, and then the signature of the individual that is authorizing that request. And it has to be dated. It cannot be more than 60 days without process, because it's not gonna work. And the information on that release of information could have an expiration date, or it could be open, or you can have the option to retract that or terminate the release of information. So usually when this happens is a doctor is going to like a primary care physician is going to refer a patient to a specialist, and then the specialist is going to send a request for medical records, usually doctor notes, and then the patient will sign a release of information, and then the PCP or primary care physician will have the ability to send that information to the other doctor, or to the hospital, to whatever. Yeah. Yes. Anyone has a question or something? Nisha, I think I saw your. No, you good? Maybe. Is it Nisha trying to say something? It is, or someone's playing with her computer. I'm gonna mute her just in case. So one of the other things is that you have to keep your your release of information document and your request of information, you have to keep it in your documents, because now that document of request of information and that document of release of information is part of the medical record. So now it becomes a part of it. So now that document has to be kept for the amount of time that you have to keep it, and protected for the amount of time that the patient is a patient. Now there is, and it's not here, so I'm gonna write it here. There is a concept that I mentioned last class, okay, and it's called oh, okay. TPO stands for treatment, payment, and operations. For treatment, payment, and operations, we do not need a release of information from the patient. Let me explain myself. If the medical assistant takes the vital from the patient, in order for the medical assistant to give those vitals that are part of the medical record to the doctor, there's no need for signing a release. When the doctor sees the patient and writes down the diagnosis and write down the when the patient is going to be seen again, and you send that to the front end, to the secretary in the front, there's no need for a release of information authorization to be signed. So for treatment, the medical assistant can start the document, give it to a doctor, the doctor can give it back to the medical assistant, and then the medical assistant can give it to the front. So all of that transfer of information can happen without the patient giving authorization. It's implied, because it's treatment, payment, or operations, that there's going to be a flow of information, and that is absolutely normal. The next one is payment. So for payments, the same thing. So now the front end, the secretary, after he or she gets the information, is going to give that to the biller in the back, the department that is going to submit the claim. Submitting the claim is payment, but giving the paper or the document from the front to the back, that is operations. So I don't have to sign a release of information at the front to say, hey, now you can send this to the back, or send an email to the biller, or whatever it is. And then for payment, it means that now the biller has to send that information to the insurance company, and the insurance company has to send whatever information and payment back to the provider. So for payment, again, it's not required to have a release of information. If I'm going to send your information to the pharmacy, it is for treatment. We don't need the patient's authorization. We do not say, hey, patient, can you sign this paper that says that I'm going to send this to your pharmacy? No. Now, anybody else? Another office? A copy to some legal department? Spouse wants to get the information? No one can get information on the patient without authorization. So it's really important that you know that there's a request, and then there's going to be an approval of that request in the form of a release of information document that is now, both of them are part of the medical record, and it has to be kept private and confidential. Except for treatment, payment, or operations, at that point, it is understood that there's going to be a flow of information, and it is not breaking any HIPAA laws, because we are just moving information around without the patient's authorization. It's considered implicit that we are going to have their authorization, and then we are going to move those things. why did I give you all that explanation and why did I stop there for a long time? Because again, in your certification exam, usually there's a question that has to do with this, okay? And it's always of a husband or a wife asking for information on their spouse, and the the story can go two ways. There is a signed document that says that they can access the information, or there's no such paper. If there's no such paper, you have to say no. HIPAA policies prohibit giving information on the patient without their authorization. If there's a payment, if there's a document that says yes, you can get it, then yes, they are authorized and you can give them the information. So you go check the medical record. Yes, the authorization is there. Yes, they can access the information. If not, no. So it's always a little story that you have to kind of follow to see where the document is or not. And again, it's going to be on your exam, and it's going to be something that you're going to deal with almost every day in the billing departments of small clinic and doctor's office. Hospitals will have a department that's going to be medical records, and you might be working at the medical records, and then you're going to see it a lot. But in a doctor's office, that's something that is every day. Small clinics, referrals to different specialties that are not in the clinic, for sure. Now the last few Title 3, 4, and 5, we're gonna go over them real quick. It is tax-related health provisions. So it kind of created one of the medical savings accounts, or it created the opportunity to do that. And if you remember when we were talking about HMOs, I mentioned that some employers are gonna put all their like money for their health insurance in a big pot, like a 401k, and that is a medical saving account. So before HIPAA, that was not an option. Now it is. Uh, Deductions for self-employed health insurance plans. Again, the same thing. If you select to do that, it could be deducted from your check and stuff like that. That's something that was not there before. Long-term care services and contracts. Again, it was before it was they could drop you for whatever reason or whatever time. Here they have to kind of uh, put it there. So long-term care was not a thing. Now it is. Uh, Treatment for accelerated death benefits. Again, that's something that we need to talk about when we talk about ethics and what's right, what's wrong. We're gonna talk about those things. State insurance pool, so the insurance pool, so the states can manage their Medicaid services, and then again more things for unemployed, and then tissue donation for income tax purposes. So every single aspect of everything that was happening at the time was being addressed by HIPAA. All right, remember, you have to transport yourself to 1996 when this was being presented. So Title 4, this application that can informant's group for the plan requirements. So it was not that the plans can do whatever they wanted. You had to have a strict thing in place, and the people that were gonna overlook that, and then the same thing as Title 1, but now a clarification for certain continuation of coverage requirements. So again, it was giving a fair amount of power to the patient, but again with some things in place, so it was again fair for both the insurance and for the patient. And then the last one, Title 5, it had to be more of a way to wrap up everything else. So company-owned life insurance, it was a thing that came out of the same thing, kind of that they could do the insurance companies now life insurance. So it didn't have to do with health insurance, but they included it there. treatment for individuals who not be U.S. citizens or lose their citizenship. Again, kind of expanding on Medicare, Medicaid a little bit, and then repeal of financial institution transition rule. There was a way that we could, make sure that we put things in different places again, just to make things fair and available to everyone. Um, and now we're taking out the companies that were trying to getting. It was more the government. So now it was saying, hey, government is the one that is going to decide on those things. So that's kind of again, they didn't have to do with healthcare or health insurance, but they put all those things there also. But again, if you were following, the most important things for you guys were gonna be in Title II, security and privacy, and then codes and the electronic health records. And then again, not following the rules, civil or criminal penalties, depending on what it was. Yes, no, or maybe, my people. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick because this is done. Oh, look at this. This, this is a beautiful class. Look at this. How much people we have here? 17? You see, do I have everyone here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Look at you guys. I like it. I love it. Thank you for the people that are going crazy in the chat. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Yes. No question. Good. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Of course. This is what I do here. Okay, let me check real quick. 8. So we have a couple of minutes still. Let me see if I can. Unless the next chapter is extremely humongous. And it might be. So big that it's not even open. Okay, give me a second to make sure. If should open. But while it opens and I decide what's going to happen, any questions, my beautiful people? Okay. This one we need to. So let's go to the chat real quick. No question. No. Okay. So this chapter, we're gonna start it and do it tomorrow. It's a big chapter. It has a bunch of things. It's gonna take probably 2 days. One to do the whole chapter, and another one to start going over the things, the books and stuff. So I want to make sure that next week we have the books and we have the things and we can start moving forward with this. But this is where it gets super serious. ICD, what are the codes? We can start. This is how. I'll show you a few things real quick. There you go. We're gonna talk about a bunch of things without actually talking about codes. Then we're gonna start talking about what the codes are. We're gonna repeat a few things like always. And all of this is how to understand the book, how to understand the 75,000 codes that we have. Like, what is every single thing? So it's gonna take a while. So I wanna start it and do the whole class only on this. So having said that, I will again, like I said, how many? Oh, quick question: how many of you went to get books? Who has books? Not yet. No. One got 1, 2. Okay. You got how many books? 2 books. 2 books. Okay. So the two, the book and the like a book and a study guide, kind of like that, right? Perfect. So this is why I want you to I want to take it correct. Thank you. A book and a workbook. That's the word I was looking for. So I will tomorrow. I will start, you know, assigning things to do in that workbook. And it will be due next week. But so the people that already have it and wants to start working on it can do it. But if you do not have your books, then for sure the due date will be next week for the assignments. So again, being fair and giving you everyone a chance to get your books. So like somebody saying there, I will get the book on Tuesday. So by next week, we're gonna start with those assignments and things to do. So, but I will let you guys know tomorrow. So you can always start. Um, so having said that, one of the things that we're gonna do is practice. You know, getting the codes. Uh, Even if you don't have the other books, I will show you in the computer how the book looks and how to search the codes in the computer. It's really easy to understand if you understand the book. So I will explain how the book works and how we represent that in the computer, and then I'll give you some again hints, tricks, and some interesting codes that we could get from ICD. Uh, I always you know like to show things that are uh, let's say memorable, so you will remember, and that will be really good. Now, for the people that are here for the first time, okay. Well, let's do it before. If you do not have a problem, if you do not have anything else to say or to ask, you are free to go. If you have something to say, something to talk to me about, you can stay. If you are who Williams, Jackson, Wells, Kamika, the ones that don't have the problem, I already have your information. So you know, Candice has a all work email. Monique has an email that doesn't work. Kamika has a problem with the SSO. If there's nothing else to repeat. So if again if there's nothing new, you're free to go. For the people that were not here before or ever, Liz,
Thank you. Good.
Vanessa, okay, no problem. Please stay. And if anybody else has to stay, also stay.
Just to make sure I don't have to stay correct. I know my email is wrong, but I can get it situated tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't think it I don't think I can fix it. And
Oh,
so what I'll do, I'll send more specific things to the two people to see if they can actually fix it, contact you. I thought the thing was fixed because